On this week's episode of the Maverick Makers podcast, I welcome Chef Paul Waters, hailing all the way from Belfast, Ireland, which makes our show now international, which is super exciting. So Chef Paul Waters started really his career by peeling potatoes. He worked his way up, worked at the Savoy Hotel in London, England. He's traveled all over the world. He's cooked everywhere, worked with so many different chefs, has so much wisdom to offer. I promise you, you are going to have a laugh and really love our conversation. So, as you know, let's go. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Maverick Makers podcast. I am thrilled to welcome Chef Paul Waters to the show, all the way from Belfast, Ireland. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening for wherever you are in the world, and best wishes from Ireland.
I love it. Exactly. So, of course, I'm midday. You're, I think, evening, although it looks like you have sunshine peeking through the window, which is lovely. Maybe?
Sunshine, bit of rain, but it's typical Irish weather. It doesn't know what it wants to do next.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, I'm so excited to talk to you about all things food, cooking, love, inspiration. You have so many great things to talk about today. And let's start with that first question, which is who has been, or who, in terms of plural, have been the biggest Maverick inspirations in your life?
I would honestly say grandmothers and mothers.
Oh,
When I was young, my grandmother she used to cook for there's 8 in her family, and that was including my mother. So we used to go to her house when we were kids, and my grandmother used to make fresh breads, fresh soups, fresh juice every time we would arrive, and she would run around cooking for around about 12 to 13 people within the space of no time in a very, very small kitchen. And I used to watch her, and I was just amazed, and I was going, "Wow, this is incredible! How can a woman like at the time she would have been in like I would have been like probably 8 or 9, and she would have been like an elderly woman for me at the time. But to watch somebody to cook and achieve so much in such a short time, it was a pure inspiration. And then to watch my mother to do the same thing for 3 kids in our household and do a full-time job was just nothing short of a miracle. And I just thought, this is what I want to do in life.
beautiful. I love that they were your inspirations. That's so lovely. That's amazing. And yeah, that's like huge superpower talent that we'll get into a little later. So that's incredible.
Uh,
Let's talk about your Maverick journey. I have to say, reading your biography was like very inspirational. It's one of the few, it's probably the only one that I've ever received that wasn't very like corporate and, very manufactured, but it had so much heart and it really talked about where you started and, starting from not knowing how to cook to all the way to these amazing hotels that you've worked at all over the world. So let's talk about all of that and guide us through how it all started.
okay, when I first started cooking when I was 17, and I went to a place called Jersey and on Channel Islands. Actually, I'll tell the lie first of all. Sorry, I'll go back. I first started cooking when I was 17. I applied for a job in a local hotel in Belfast, and as a trainee chef. And I only did cooking like in school, like basics, but it was never really cooking. And so I applied for this job. I wanted to cook because it's obviously my inspiration through my parents and my grandparents. I thought, well, this is my big chance to get into catering. So I applied for this job, and to my amazement, I got the job. And I remember the phone call well. They called me up on a Sunday evening and says, "Can I speak to Paul Waters?" And I said, "Yes, this is Paul speaking." And they said, "This is the Beacon Hotel in Belfast. We offer you a job as a trainee chef." So I was like, "Oh, well, it's no problem at all. Great, happy days. Thank you very much. When can you start?" I said, "This is great, no problem at all." So I thought this was great. So see you tomorrow. So I put the phone down, went into my parents. My mum and dad were sitting watching TV. My two brothers sitting watching TV. I says, I've been on for the job as a trainee chef. They all laughed at me. Says, you a chef? I said, yes, me a chef. And I says, there's only one problem. I can't peel a potato. My mum was looking at me going, what do you mean you can't peel a potato? I says, I can't peel a potato. So my mother says, right, okay. I'm going to the local supermarket. So mother brought back, must have been about 20 bags of potatoes. And my father brought me into the kitchen and says, okay, this is how you peel a potato. So for 6 hours the rest of the day, I was sitting peeling potatoes with my father. Going, oh my God, I hate this job. I do not want to be a chef. I hate this. So fast forward the next day, I went into the job as a trainee chef. I met the chef and I thought I was going to cook. The chef says the first thing that you're to do is peel potatoes. And I'm going, oh God, here we go. So I says, okay, well, it's only 6 small bags. I'll be all right peeling potatoes. There's no problem here. So he brought me out the back and he showed me 20 10-kilo bags of potatoes. And he says, I need these potatoes peeled. And I'm going, oh my God, what have I done? What have I signed up to? So I came home that night, my first day. I had blue plasters all over my hands from cuts and blisters from peeling potatoes. And I hated it. I just hated it. I hated it. And I said, this is not a job I want to do. So I stuck with it. And I went on, because I wanted to become a chef. I went on to college. I got my qualifications. I became a chef. I thought, this is great. This is the best job in the world now. I've got my qualifications. I don't need to worry about peeling potatoes. So I got a job in a place called in Jersey, in the Channel Islands, which is a very small island just off the coast of France. And I went into the job for a hotel as a chef. And the chef said to me, he says, okay, I want you on the food section. And I go, here we go again. I said, what exactly do you need me to do? And he says, well, everybody starts peeling potatoes. And I'm going, here we go again. I says, I just spent the last year and a half of my life peeling potatoes, getting my qualifications to be a chef. I got into another hotel, which I thought was the end of peeling potatoes, and I had to peel potatoes. And I thought, oh, here we go again. This isn't happening. This isn't right. So I peeled the potatoes for as long as I could for 6 months in this hotel. And then I went on to peeling carrots, all the crappy jobs that nobody else wanted. So he says, if you want to develop to become a chef, you go and work in London and you become a chef and become a better person. So I decided to apply for different hotels throughout London. And one of the hotels that attracted me at the time was the Savoy Hotel, which is a big 5-star hotel in London. And so I applied for the job. I got the job. They brought me for a trial, which I had to cook something which I wasn't very good at. But they were willing to take a chance on me, and it says, because I want to learn how to cook. And they says, no problem. If you want to learn how to cook, we'll teach you how to cook. So I was like, I've got a job in the biggest hotel in the world at the time in the early 90s. And my first job was peeling potatoes. And I just thought, like, come on, this can't be right. So I just went down from the basics. For the first 5 years of my life of being a cook, I was just a dog's body. Peeling potatoes, peeling carrots, peeling potatoes, peeling carrots, peeling onions. At one stage, I got a job making pesto, and I thought, yes, I got promoted. I made a mess. I made a mess making the pesto, so I was back peeling potatoes. And I just thought, right, this is not what I want to do. I just thought, this is not a chef life. So I remember having a meeting with the executive head chef at the time. I said, look, I don't want to be peeling potatoes. I want to learn how to cook. He says, well, you do have to learn the basics. You have to learn how to do this and do that. But if you want to learn, he'll teach you. So he taught me basic things. He showed me how to make a basic sauce. He showed me how to make basic food from basic ingredients. And I thought, wow, this is good. I'm learning here. I'm progressing. So, cut a long story short, I learned how to cook. I learned my way up how to cook from peeling potatoes to make sauces, to make soups, to make all the different meats, a lot of things. And then when I left London, I went over to a place called Kerry on the south of Ireland, where I learned more. I thought, yes, I'm now a chef. I worked in London. I'm now a chef. I'm now a big man. I'm a qualified chef. So I went to this job in the south of Ireland at a hotel. And the guy said, well, where have you worked? What have you done? I said, well, I'm just back from the Savoy Hotel in London. And he says, brilliant. He says, great. Okay, I'll give you a job. So, brilliant topic days. Part of my traveling again. Started this hotel. First day I went in, the guy started, he says, okay, everybody starts in the veg section. I need you to peel potatoes. And I go, oh my God, here we go. I says, I am now peeling potatoes again. I said, this is terrible. So I said to the guys, look, I've peeled potatoes here for the last 4 or 5 years of my career. I says, I'm a chef. I'm not here to peel potatoes. I can cook. So he had to say, okay, well, you prove to me that you can cook. So I made a lot of mistakes, but I progressed and I learned. As one thing about cooking, you always ask, no matter, there's no right or wrong questions. You always ask. So I developed and I went on again. And then I went over to Australia where I worked in this, cut a long story back. I worked in Australia and I got a job in the Sydney Opera House where I developed and I learned a lot. And so for 30 years, fast forward, I've been doing a lot of cooking. I came home. I was asked to do a recipe for a local paper and I like what I saw. And they says, can you continue doing this? So then a lot of magazines and a lot of newspapers got interested and says, can you write for us? So now what I do, I don't peel potatoes anymore, which is great. I now help and develop and teach people how to cook. So from the experience that I've had over 31, 32 years of cooking now that I've done, I now show people how to cook nice food, how to make nice soups, and develop how to cook and progress myself.
Beautiful. Now the question is, can you teach people how to peel a potato?
I can't. I can't. You know what? I can honestly say I can put it in my CV now that I'm a master peel potato.
This is the perfect analogy of just life in general and how you have to put in the hard work. That people don't realize that you have to put in the time in order to get there.
It it is a thankless job, and you ask any chef, you work long hours, you work crazy hours, you work every night, you work every weekend. You don't get paid that well. But the good thing about a chef, you never go hungry, and you never trust a skinny chef.
I love it. Okay, so that being said, that you said that it's a thankless job. So why do you do it?
Because I love what I do. The good thing about food is it brings people together. It's happiness, it's joy. Everybody loves food, everybody loves to eat. And at the same time, when you make a dish, whether it's a soup, whether it's a sauce, whatever it is, when you make something and you see people smile and you see people enjoy it, that's the best job satisfaction you can get.
Beautiful. I agree. Absolutely. And on the flip side, if you're a disaster in the kitchen, you can
You can
ruin
always prove
somebody's
potatoes.
fair. I need to go back to peeling potatoes. Fair enough. What do you think your biggest maverick move to date has been in your career or life in general?
I think every day is a move
Mm,
because in catering and food in general, we're always learning
mhm.
because food trends change every day, every week, every month, every year. And I'm a great believer in I follow trends, I follow people, I follow different chefs throughout the world, and I get inspiration by watching them and see how they cook and how they do things. Like a great example is a girl called Lisa from Mr. Frank's. To me, she's a huge inspiration to me because she's created a legacy from where her father left off. And to use something like her spices and to use her food in my cooking to me is just an amazing achievement.
Hmm. Beautiful. That's so nice. And these spices are amazing. They're so good. These seasoning blends. Game changer in my kitchen.
I think they're a game changer in everybody's kitchen. I think everybody should realize Mr. Frank spices are the way forward
Yeah.
because the good thing about these spices, they're not just your normal spice, and you can't buy any store. You know, because I think Anissa will tell you herself, it is hard work, it is determination, but at the same time, when you get the results, as I just says in the food, when you create a beautiful dish, when people love your food, you go, wow, that's amazing. It's the same way whenever Lisa creates a spice and she can tap back and say, I've just created a beautiful spice that I think everybody would love.
Amazing. And my question is, have you tried a Bloody Mary with the original seasonings or the spicy?
I have. And first of all, I was like, whoa, that's good stuff. I'm an actually Guinness man. I drink Guinness,
Ah,
but I'm always trying, like I'm always trying to experiment with their spices, whether it's in a soup, whether it's in a porridge. I've even tried it with porridge recently, and I thought, you know what, this is good,
yeah.
And the thing is, I do think the spices that it does will take off, and I do hope that people do click on very very quick
Oh,
because it is a game changer, and your life will change from using her spices.
amazing. I love it. What do you think the biggest misconception about food is?
Timing.
Timing.
I
Hmm.
think, yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize the time that goes into food,
Mm.
and the preparation. People seem to think I should just throw a couple of like pita and potatoes. People just seem to think, should we peel a few potatoes and throw them into the pot and do it? It doesn't work that way. You have to take time to create a dish, whether it takes a day, whether it takes 2 days. If I'm writing a menu or if I'm writing a recipe, I need to think and I need to sit down and say, okay, well, what goes with this? What goes with that? What's the best spice? What's the best sauce? What's the best rice? Is it pasta? Is it potatoes? What type of vegetable? What type of meat? But people seem to think, we'll just throw it all together. It doesn't matter. It doesn't work that way with food.
Hmm. So it's this whole curating concept of pairing and what goes with what. And
Exactly. What? Yes, exactly. And then the thing is, as well, it's a matter of tasting as well. You have to taste each particular thing that you're making, and then you'll see, yes, this is good, this is bad, yes, okay, right, write this down. Like what I've started to learn to do is if I make something and I think it's nice, I'm going, okay, right, it's in my head here now, write this down. Okay, how did I make this? Well, how did I do it? Because if you get 5 different chefs to make 5 same dishes, each chef's going to make it completely different. So the way I look at it is now, I put this down and say, okay, right, I've made it this way, I've made it that way. So I can make it again. And then once I make it and I know it's good, I then pass it on to the others how to cook.
the one thing my husband says, he's Latino, is the word sabor. I don't know if you know what that means, but it means like heart and passion. So you have to cook with heart and passion. I don't think I have that all the
Well, you do. No, you do. Well, to be honest, not it is. You do have to have heart. I do believe that. You do have to have passion. But I always say to people that to be a chef, you have to act and think like a chef,
time.
and that goes where your husband comes in from. You have to have the heart and you have to have the passion. So I always say to people, you have to have it here, which is your head. You have to have it here, which is your heart, and you have it here on your shoulders. So you're carrying it at the same time.
Beautiful. I love it. That's amazing. What do you tell people, like me maybe, who are
Mhm.
afraid to be in the kitchen or are, like, intimidated by cooking or taking something on?
Never be afraid. Never be afraid because like yourself, you're probably going in and you're going, I'm going to cut myself. I won't burn myself. See, when you panic and you go under pressure,
Mhm,
that's when you make mistakes. When you
mhm.
go in with the mindset saying, I'm going to create something amazing here, you'll go, wow, you'll certainly enjoy it and you'll start to have fun. Cooking is pretty about, as I said earlier on, is about bringing people together. So if you can get you and your husband can work together or a partner can work together, you share the happiness, you share the joy of something that you make together, but never be afraid because whatever you make, it will be amazing for yourself, it'll be amazing for your partner or whoever you're working for.
Beautiful. I love that. Great advice. What do you think needs to be in everybody's pantry?
Salt, pepper, smoked paprika,
Mm.
curry powder, and garlic powder.
Like those. That's great. Amazing. What has been the most amazing place you've ever been to, traveled or worked, or where do you think it's just like everyone should go and it's just amazing?
I think I've been looking. I've traveled the world around being a chef, and some places I've been in, I go, yes, this is brilliant. This has been amazing. This has been incredible. I've learned so much. But I honestly think, and I always put it down to the Savoy Hotel in London. because if it wasn't for the Savoy in London, I wouldn't it would have been like my first stepping stone for to travel the world. It was, don't get me wrong, it was the hardest job I've ever done in my entire life, but it was the most amazing job, and I'm forever grateful to the chefs and the staff who put their faith and put their trust in me to work with me and to teach me and tell me what I could do and how I become a chef in real life.
Amazing. Have you gone back or have when's the last time
I've been back. I was there recently visiting a couple of years ago, and it was so funny too because they remembered me, which was pretty cool. And I went in and I says, I used to be a chef. And he says, yes, we remember you. You were a chef in the Savoy Grill. And I says, yes, that's correct. And he says, yes, how you doing? He says, we're all still here. And I was like, oh, great to see you and stuff like this. And now the Savoy Grill, who I have yet the misfortune to meet, is Mr. Gordon Ramsay. He owns the Savoy Grill in London.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. So that brings me to my next question. Which celebrity chef would you love to cook alongside?
Ken Home.
Okay.
Ken Home. When I was younger, I used to watch a guy called Andrew Wan. I don't know if you can remember, or Andrew Yan, sorry. If Wan can cook, so can you. Yes. So that to me, that used to be on Saturday afternoons when I was growing up, and I used to be fascinated by Asian cooking. I love Asian cooking. Still to this day, a lot of food that I cook at home is Asian cooking. And when I got older, I seen Ken Home on TV one day, and I just said, this guy's a genius. This guy's brilliant." I love the simplicity of his food. I love the excitement he shows on the food because, as I was saying earlier on, cooking's supposed to be fun. Cooking's supposed to be excitement. Cooking's supposed to be joy. I find with a lot of chefs, they don't show the fun and the enjoyment what it should be in the kitchen. A lot of chefs take it seriously, but if you have fun and you show people that you're enjoying food and to cook food, it makes it all better for other people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, Yan Can Cook was amazing. I loved watching him too. So
Yeah,
far.
I used to love it. And he used to say, if Sean can cook, so can you. So I used to think he was talking to me, and he used to think, I can cook, I can cook. But if I had a cookery show, if you can peel potatoes, so can you.
I love it. Amazing.
Um,
What's your absolute favorite go-to meal?
Sushi.
Oh, I agree. What kind?
I usually go for like a California rolls.
Mm.
And truth to be told, I tried making sushi a few times, and I am completely hopeless at it. So, and I just threw the head up one day making it, and I couldn't do it. And I was trying to roll the sushi, and I was going, "This looks terrible. This looks awful. This looks really bad." And I was doubting myself and saying, "Am I really a chef here? Why can't I make this? Why can't I make this?" And I said, "Paul, don't be hard on yourself. It's your first time making it. Don't you'll be all right. Do it again. Do it again. You'll be all right." So I tried it a few times, and I still couldn't make it. So I decided from now on, I now worship and appreciate and respect a sushi chef because you don't actually realize the time and the effort that they actually put into making a sushi
Mm.
because it is a craftsmanship in itself, and it's just amazing the work that they do. So every time I don't mind waiting 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes for sushi because you know it's going to be right and it's going to be done with perfection. Something that I can't do on sushi.
Mm. Interesting. Okay. I like it. You think anyone can learn how to cook?
Absolutely. I'm a great believer if you can start kids young cooking basic things, even like a simple thing like peeling potatoes, peeling apples for dessert, or making a dough, or putting eggs into your mixing bowl, or whatever it is. Because I think it's important if you are going to teach somebody how to cook, teach them young, get them involved. Because of the way they see things doing, they will get inspired by your parents or your grandparents, or hopefully by yourself on how you cook as well.
Amazing. I love it. Why are you so passionate about your blog?
Because it helps others how to cook and it inspires other people how to cook. Because when I cook, and I love it when somebody sends me a message, and I always respond to messages, I always say thank you because it's always important for me to say thank you. If somebody says to me, Paul, that's great. I always send a message back saying thank you because it touches me. And then when somebody asks me for a recipe, I says, Paul, can you give me the recipe for your dish? And then they make the dish and they send a photograph of it and they say, Paul, you've inspired me to cook, say, for example, a chicken curry. And they take a photograph of their chicken curry. They send it off to me and says, well, love the chicken curry. You've inspired me how to cook. Thank you very much. To me, that's the best because I love giving back what I have and what I've learned throughout the years. So if I can teach people how to cook and enjoy what they do as much as I do, it gives me so much satisfaction.
That's incredible. I love that. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Everybody needs to check out Paul's blog. Lovely. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's go.
Okay, let's do it. Amazing. So whatever comes top of mind, just say it. Okay, here goes.
Okay.
Summer or winter? Good answer, especially right now. Okay. Farm or city? Okay. Organized or messy?
Organized.
Okay. Boiled egg or fried egg?
Fried egg.
Okay. Favorite spice?
Coriander. Cilantro.
Really? Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
Favorite thing to do on weekends?
Relax.
That's a good one. Absolutely. Okay. You can invite 3 famous people to your dinner table. Who are they? And what are you cooking?
Bruce Springsteen.
Hmm.
Uh, Bruce Springsteen, my mother, and probably my late grandmother.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Because Bruce Springsteen, because I think he's a rock icon, and I simply adore the man. Cook for my mother because she would be my biggest critic, and she will tell me if it's good or bad, and she'll tell me if she doesn't like it or not, and she'll not eat it. And my grandmother because I want to make her proud because she showed me how to cook, and make her a dish that she used to make me when I was a kid, which was homemade tomato soup and
Oh,
wheaten bread.
lovely. Oh, that's so nice. Amazing. Where would you love to live other than Belfast?
Toronto.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Should I tell you?
I fell in love.
Yeah, should I tell you it's
Can.
-15?
Yeah, sure. Mm. I fell in love with Toronto 24 years ago.
Aw.
And I just thought it was the most amazing. I've been lucky living in, been to New York, been to Sydney, been to London, been everywhere in Europe, and I've never seen a city like Toronto. And the people are just incredible, and people are just amazing.
That's so nice to hear. Lovely. I fell in love with London, but that's a whole other episode.
Mhm.
That's a whole other story. How do you want to change the world?
People to be kind, people to be grateful, people to be thankful.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people in this world who aren't grateful. There's a lot of people aren't thankful. There's a lot of people aren't kind. So people to be kind to each other, and be helpful to each other, and be there for each other, and be a better place.
I agree. I agree. Wise words. Final question.
Mhm.
What's next?
What's next? Help more people. Help as many people as possible. Because the whole world, it's a whole world out there. It's a whole world that needs to be discovered. Whether it's in food, whether it's in music, whether it's in anything. Because people need to discover what I can do for people and how I can help people.
Amazing. Well, I absolutely loved our conversation. Everybody should check out Simple, Tasty, Healthy by PW. There's lots of inspiration. I can't wait to check it out and try some of these amazing meals and believe in the preparation and get myself all ready and not be afraid and just go for it. So thank you. Such, lovely words by you and thanks for being on the show.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Maverick Makers podcast is sponsored by Maverick Makers Content Creation Collective. We fuel your content pipeline through video, photography, design, and editorial. Let's connect to your audiences and make more sales. Learn more at maverickmakersco.com.